Proudly brought to you by Broadlink for reliable business connectivity.
You know, for so long we've been talking about the convenience of riding motorcycles on the road, not only through the traffic because it's easy, but the fuel economy side of things. Well, there's another side to it that I quite often talk to my mates about. Probably the first time I've spoken to you about it though is, well, I'm on my way to work. I left work this morning and decided I'm going by bike today. In fact, I've been going the whole week on this Honda CRF250L. Now, what does L mean? It means it's a dual purpose bike just been released by Honda in South Africa. So it's a bike that is really comfortable on the road, but it's also quite comfortable on the off-road side of things. So on my way to work, guess what? I'm going to put some enjoyment back into my commute every day. There's a shortcut going down here all the way to my office. So on the way to work, take a shortcut, go through the bush, have a bit of fun, get to the office, do my day's work, come home through the bush. Something I used to do when I was a kid years and years ago when I worked at Air Zimbabwe at the Harare airport. That's a long time ago, of course. So put some fun back into the commute by just being able to come over here and ride a bit of off-road. A bit of fun, really. It's no secret that motorcycle sales worldwide are down. From a high of 6 million units in the early 1970s to over 8 million bikes sold per year from 2003 to 2008. Motorcycle sales have dropped to just 3 million units in the last year alone. To combat the downward trend, Honda is introducing several new value-driven products. One of them being this all-new dual sport bike, the CRF250L. Like their very first true dual sport bike, the XL250 of the 1970s, they believe the key to bringing riders back into the market is by producing an economical motorcycle that is versatile and fun to use. Most, if not all, dirt bike riders have to lug their bikes on a trailer or bakkie to their chosen riding venue. That concept changes with this Honda. You simply ride on the public roads to your trail riding area and hit the trail. So a couple of the technical aspects of the Honda CRF250L. Now you'd think Honda would have used the engine out of the 250 motocrosser. The Unicam motor means it's got one overhead camshaft. Well, no, if you take a look here, it's a completely new engine because it's a twin cam engine. Inside here are two camshafts. They did that because they wanted to reduce friction on this engine. They've got roller bearing rockers on the camshafts there, so it's a highly reduced friction rating on this engine. It's a fairly high output engine, but what they did is they went more for the broad spread of power of the bike than actually going for top end power, because it's a dual purpose bike. It doesn't really need the top end power. Now take a look at the exhaust pipe. This is absolutely monstrous. It's a huge muffler, so you can hardly hear the bike when it's out there. Now Honda say they've designed this exhaust system to coincide with the rest of the engine, the torque characteristics. So the first thing you'd probably want to do is say, oh, I'm going to junk this exhaust pipe, put in another pipe to this bike. But that's not really going to work because it's designed to run with the engine. It's designed to run quietly, and that's the secret of these sort of bikes. Now the cooling is taken care of by a single radiator. It's got the two scoops around the fuel tank, and you think that that would be a twin radiator setup like on a motocross bike, but actually the bottle that carries the water is on the right hand side, and down here is the actual radiator. It's got a fan mounted behind it, and that fan kicks in quite quickly as you're riding along, so it keeps the bike fairly cool. So liquid cooling on the bike obviously means more high output. And while we're pointing down there, let's take a look at these front forks here. These are Showa 43mm forks, and you know what I love about these sort of bikes? 43mm forks, they've got suspension like a motocross bike. Now when you ride on the road, it is so soft, it really is amazing. Why don't all road bikes have suspension like these dual purpose bikes? Let's take a look at the instrument cluster, because that's what you'll be seeing when you ride along. Switch it on there, you can see it's completely digital. What I do find quite strange, there's no rev counter, no tachometer. Just the speedo, your trip, and the time of day. You've got your normal lights, your neutral light, high beam light, indicator lights. The bike does overheat, that'll come on, it's a red radiator light. So all the usual idiot lights, as they call them. Quite like the instrument cluster, not something you would expect from a trail bike like this. Take a look at this. I find this very strange from Honda. I mean, their finish on motorcycles is amazing, but look at this here. This big old brake pipe right above the clock. Do we actually need a brake pipe? Why not put it down that way or down that way or something like that? So this big old rubber pipe when you're riding along is going to be doing that, that is for sure. You know, that's just something I find a bit weird from Honda. The fuel tank, 7.7 litres, that should get you just around about 200 k's, which is pretty far enough. The seat itself looks like a motocross seat, but it's a lot more padded than you would find on an off-road machine, hence the dual-purpose designation of this bike. So it's a nicely padded seat, fairly wide, so it's really comfortable. But what does tell you that it's a dual-purpose bike, take a look down here at these foot pegs. These are serrated steel foot pegs, just like a motocross bike. They do fold up and down. The brake pedal, the same sort of thing. So those are all taken from motocross technology, which does show that it is a dual-purpose bike. So technically, quite an interesting little motorbike. And I think that what they did, they put a lot of thought into this bike to make it into a dual-purpose bike, because for so long we haven't had dual purpose. We've had off-road or on-road bikes, and this one fits right in between.
It's called the CRF250L, as opposed to the motocross bike, which is just called the CRF250. To be honest, it's not a great dirt bike. You will not be getting serious dirt riding out of it, but it's all about commuting with some fun, and that's what Honda have aimed for on this motorcycle. Priced at under 45,000 Rand, and by all accounts Honda are doing well in the sales area with the CRF250L.